Welcome to the Station Nightclub fire, a look back 22 years later. We're going to show you live video from inside and outside to show you what started the fire and the chaos that erupted. In between, we're going to show you the aftermath, how this affected everybody. And then in the end, we're going to show you the fire change codes that were enacted because of this.
West Avenue. This company's at the scene. That's Rescue 1, Rescue 2, Rescue 4. Respond to the station, restaurant bar, West Avenue and West Warwick. Main company's at the scene.
In this thing, you've got to get people down here. I'm fine. I got out. One of the first people to get out because I saw what had happened. I have it all on tape from inside. Multiple deaths. The people were trampled trying to get out of this place. There's all kinds of people stuck on top of each other at the front door trying to get out, and they were stacked on top of each other trying to get out. They couldn't get out. There's got to be 50 people still left inside that thing dead. This is not good. What? I'm out of there. I'm out in the parking lot. The fire department's here already. I mean, what happened. I see. We all got stopped at the door. We all got stopped right at the door. Nobody wanted to leave. Everybody's like, what's going on? What's going on? And people saw it and started moving away finally. There's so many people injured here, there's so many people burned, and I'm sure there's at least another death. It's unbelievable what's going on here. I got every inch of it, every single bit of it. Over here, right aside! I have to stay here now, I mean, I have to. Anybody that's hurt that can walk! Walk across the street! That's the fire department. These guys are screaming. There's multiple people with no hair and burns and just cuts and glass. Keep the eyes back! Sometimes it's going up! Sometimes it's going up! Keep the eyes back! Right, well this is worse. This is terrible. Get away from here! Hey! What? Might blow too. I called them. I called them. Tammy, listen to me. to listen to me.
24 hours to recover all the bodies from inside the ruins of Rhode Island Station Nightclub.
Horrible things happen to people for absolutely no reason.
The death toll was far greater than anyone expected.
We went out on a Thursday night to listen to music, drink some beers, and have a good time. And a quarter of those people didn't get to go home, ever.
Pyrotechnics went off, and I remember being a little shocked. It just felt really big. And I just sort of noticed some flame on the walls on either side.
And then it kept growing. When that fire alarm went off, that's when I said to myself, and I remember the words, this isn't good. This is not going to be good. This is bad. It went from 0 to 10 in what seemed like a second. And then the buildings.
I see the horror, and it was ugly. The roof was caving in, walls were caving in, body after body in front of me. I don't even like to talk about it.
It would become one of the deadliest fires in a club in U.S. history. At the height of the fire, hundreds of people gathered at the station to see Great White, an 80s band, now with some new members, led by singer Jack Russell, known mainly for their hit, Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
They had their moments, and they played the arenas. That was in like the 80s. Completely Preventable.
Scott James has written a book about the tragedy called Trial by Fire.
I decided I would just start asking some questions.
Describe the Station nightclub for me. What kind of club was this?
It was a typical kind of roadside dive.
These are videos from prior performances taken inside the club.
It smelled like spilled beer and stale cigarettes, and everything was just a little bit frayed at the edge. But it's fun. When people arrive, they walk through this entrance and this kind of longish hallway. You'd see on your left a horseshoe-shaped bar. This was the main bar where you could get your drinks. To the right was this much larger space in front of a stage. You have 4 exits. There's an exit near the stage. We have an exit through the kitchen, one near the bar, and then the main exit, that hallway where everybody came through.
Pack a neighborhood nightclub in West Warwick to see the 80s band Great White. Moments into the show, there are flashes, then fire, then panic.
It was just bad hearing their scream.
The deadliest fire in Rhode Island history claims 100 lives, injures more than 200 others.
The situation right now is really quite grim.
Almost immediately, it is clear what went wrong.
There's some pyro going, and all of a sudden, the next thing you know, the whole thing went up.
By the end of the year, there are criminal charges. It takes 3 years to end those cases, 4 more to settle the lawsuits. And eventually, finally, a full 14 years later, this memorial rises from the ashes, a permanent tribute to the angels, survivors, and heroes of the Station nightclub fire.
And that is a horror that will haunt my family and I for the rest of our lives.
Negligence and greed overcame any concerns for safety.
And all which culminated in a 90-second window of time where only one factor determined life or death.
Michael Derderian purchased the club in 2000. It was already a relic of the past. The building had been grandfathered into outdated safety codes, meaning it wasn't required to have modern sprinkler systems. And despite the Derderians knowing this, they made a series of questionable upgrades to cut costs. Among them, the installation of highly flammable polyurethane foam on the walls for soundproofing. a material that would later become a death sentence for many. From the outside, the station looked like just another nightclub. But on the inside, every corner cut, every safety measure ignored, was quietly laying the foundation for catastrophe. Behind every tragedy are the people whose decisions made it possible. First, there were the Derderian brothers, Jeff and Michael. Owners of the club, neither had any real experience running a nightclub, but they had ambition, a willingness to make the club a success, even at the expense of safety.
We realize there's very little we can say that will provide comfort.
Brothers Jeffrey and Michael Derderian, co-owners of the club, are both charged with involuntary manslaughter.
Then there was Daniel Beakley, Great White's tour manager. He was the one who set off the Pyrotechnics that night. A move that would turn an ordinary show into a raging inferno. Jack Russell was front man of the band and allegedly had the final say on if there were going to be pyro in that night's performance. And we can't forget the local fire marshal, Dennis LaRoque, who inspected the club multiple times but overlooked glaring safety violations, including blocked exits and the massive amount of polyurethane foam. Each of these individuals carried their share of responsibility, and each, in their own way, contributed to what would unfold that night. By the night of February 20th, 2003, the stage was set, both literally and figuratively. The station was packed beyond its capacity of 404, with over 460 people crammed into the small venue. Many stood shoulder to shoulder, unaware that the exits were poorly marked, or in some cases, completely obstructed. Things spiraled out of control. We need to go back months, even years before that night. The polyurethane foam installed by the Derderians wasn't just a soundproofing measure. It was cheap, a shortcut, but what they didn't account for was how flammable it was. When exposed to heat, the foam released toxic fumes, turning a small fire into a deadly inferno in seconds. The club's layout only made matters worse. Most patrons didn't know about the other exits, and some were blocked or obscured by furniture. Eyewitnesses even claimed that a bouncer initially stopped people from using one exit, telling them it was for the band only. And then there were the Pyrotechnics. Daniel Beakley claimed he had permission from the Derderians to use them. But no one, not the owners, not the fire marshal, not even the band, ensured that the club was equipped to handle such a stunt. Piled on top of each other, blocking the narrow corridor, those trapped inside faced a harrowing choice: suffocate from the toxic smoke or burn alive. In less than 90 seconds, the fire completely consumed the building, and for 100 people, escape would remain forever out of reach. The aftermath was filled with questions and blame. The Derderian brothers claimed ignorance, arguing they never meant for this to happen. Daniel Beakley pleaded guilty to 100 counts of involuntary manslaughter, serving less than 2 years in prison. Jack Russell and Dennis LaRoque amazingly avoided facing any repercussions for their roles in the incident. For survivors and victims' families, no punishment could ever balance the scale. In the months following the fire, as grief consumed the families of the 100 victims, one man stepped up to ensure they would not be forgotten. John Berilick, a Rhode Island attorney, made it his mission to hold every party accountable for the disaster. Over the next several years, he meticulously pursued over 60 entities in court, from the nightclub owners to the foam manufacturers to the companies ensuring the tour manager and band. Berilick's approach was relentless. He argued that negligence wasn't limited to just one party, it was systemic. He uncovered damning evidence, including the polyurethane foam's extreme flammability and the lack of proper safety inspections by the fire marshal. But one piece of evidence stood out above all others: the Pickett audio.
Matthew Pickett's hobby, and the reason why we have that sound, was to make bootleg audio tapes of concerts. And he carried in his jacket pocket that night a Sony digital Walkman, which he had running when Great White came on, and it remained running, and it was found under his body the next day. A year and a half later, we came to learn through his brother that there was this device, and it was provided to the authorities because it might have some useful sound data on it. Federal ATF people reconstructed that digital tape and gave us a pristine sound record of what was going on during these horrific last minutes from inside the club.
The tape revealed chilling details: the rising panic, the cries for help, and the deadly buildup of smoke and flames. Synced with video footage from cameraman Brian Butler, the Pickett audio provided a second-by-second account of the tragedy. This audio was so disturbing that it was sealed and marked "Do Not Reproduce." But for Berilick, it was key to recreating the timeline of events and proving just how preventable the tragedy had been. The evidence wasn't just used to assign blame. It was used to secure justice. Over $176 million was eventually awarded to the victims' families, a sum cobbled together from settlements with nearly every entity connected to the fire. But no amount of money could replace what was lost. The nightclub fire wasn't just a local tragedy, it became a national wake-up call. In the years following the fire, changes rippled across the country. Nightclubs and other entertainment venues were now required to adhere to stricter fire safety codes, including the mandatory installation of sprinkler systems. The use of flammable soundproofing materials was heavily scrutinized, and capacity limits were more rigorously enforced. But these changes came too late for the victims.
Fires in social clubs and nightclubs have repeatedly led to catastrophic loss of life due to a combination of overcrowding, inadequate fire safety measures, and delayed emergency responses. Incidents such as the 1942 Coconut Grove Fire, the Beverly Hills Supper Club Fire in 1977, the Happy Land Social Club Fire in 1990, and the Station Nightclub Fire in 2003 highlight the grave consequences of these factors. Common dangers include overcapacity creating dangerous conditions, making evacuation slow and chaotic. Insufficient or obstructed exits trap occupants, as seen in the Station Nightclub fire. Many venues lacked sprinklers or other suppression systems, significantly worsening the fires. Violations of fire codes and inadequate enforcement were contributing factors in many tragedies. Highly combustible materials used in decor, such as the Coconut Grove's artificial palm trees and the station's foam insulation, intensified the spread of flames. Arson, as in the Happy Land fire, and improper use of pyrotechnics, as in the station fire, were direct causes of deadly blazes. These incidents emphasize the critical need for stringent fire code enforcement, proper safety systems, and public awareness to prevent future tragedies.
Memorial rises from the ashes, a permanent tribute to the angels, survivors, and heroes of the Station Nightclub fire.
My heart goes out to all the families affected by this event. And as a retired firefighter and fire chief, my heart goes out to those responders who had to deal with the tragic events of that day. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and comment so that I can see your ideas. Please go onto my channel, Steve's Firefighting Perspective, and watch some of my other videos. And until next time, I am out of here.